John White, present. Virginia Witherell.
Present.
And Jonathan Ratton. That's
So six of the board members out of quorum of 8, and that's it. Okay. I'll say, you want to lead the Pledge of Allegiance? This is the last meeting of the week. You want to lead the Pledge of Allegiance? Oh, good.
Hello, so the flag's over there. So put your right hand over your heart, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. You want to give a student report? You get a microphone too.
Hello, good morning. I hope you guys are all feeling refreshed and, here's some fabulous. So, it's really nice to see everyone's face today. You guys always amazing. Okay, so first thing on my agenda, in the previous board meeting, I had brought up the issue of restrooms, and I just want to sign on that. Just generally building more of them because you are walking around the hallway in class and you don't have the class. And you might get to the restroom, but they're all closed, or they're just like close to maintenance for whatever reason. And if you're in J Hall, you have to walk all the way to the library to go to the open bathrooms. And I just think it's, since given we are like so like this like COVID recovery era, we need to build more bathrooms for our students. More importantly, gender neutral bathrooms for all of our students, because we have students who identify as gender non-binary, and it's important to cater to their needs and make them feel noticed on this campus, especially because this campus already is like very accepting towards these people. So yeah, thank you. Another issue on bathroom maintenance, the stalls. I haven't heard back on like any update on that, but just a refresher on that issue. The stalls, you can see between them, and that's not good because we want our privacy. And same thing with the sinks. The sinks are defective. I want to wash my hands, and the water doesn't come out. So we need new sinks, and the water pressure is just very unique and good. Another concern is regarding PSWs on lunch supervision. Generally speaking, a lot of students are going to see PSWs. Me personally, I love going to see Mr. B and just talking to him about anything, and I felt really comfortable doing so. And a lot of my friends are just like going, and like there's less of like a stigma around it. Something that was brought up to me was the fact that PSWs being on lunch supervision during lunch puts them in an awkward position to try and be like basically supervising like busting kids who are doing like bad things during lunch. And at the same time, like we're expected to like trust them whenever we need something. I understand that them being outside can also help students be more aware of like their presence on campus. However, I think by allowing like PSWs to meet with students during lunch can like, help make that more private meeting space with them. And when you're eating, you're like, oh, I'm eating. Then you talk about, it just makes you more like yourself and more open, especially for PSWs on this campus. So that's it, I'm concerned. I want to talk about ASB. We've already started executing our final events. Yesterday, we had our spring boutique, which we had a lot of student-run business out of the quad. We're selling their various, very good merchandise out there. And it was very successful. I hope this is a start of like a new campus tradition because it just helps bring our community together. We also had our Denim Day Awareness Day on March 27th. We had student-led presentations in classrooms with PSW supervisions. We made informational presentations on the history and importance of Denim Day. And if you just weren't aware, Denim Day grew out of a 1998 Supreme Court decision in which a rape conviction in the court decision overturned a rape conviction because the victim was 18. An 18-year-old girl was picked up by her married 45-year-old driving instructor for her very first lesson. He takes her to a Slavery Road, pulls her out of the car, pulls her out of her leg, and closely rapes her. This decision was overturned, and the 40-year-old man was, let go because of an issue with consent. And we were just in these classrooms talking about a lot of sexual assault. And we're going to learn to do this. It can happen to anyone. And I think we're very successful. So yeah. A surprise for teachers, Teacher Appreciation Week is coming up. That's all this is. We have our Decision Day event, May 13th, celebrating seniors' plans after high school. We know that not all seniors are going to be attending a college, so we're just going to celebrate whatever plans they do have, whether it be entering the workforce or going to college. So, we're just going to space to everyone. Our Spirit Committee is working on a stress less test around final week to help students feel more at ease during this time of the school year. And obviously, teachers and staff are welcome to go participate in our events. And we also have a splash bash. It's a fun water-themed event for students. Another fun way to see stress around finals time because everyone is stressed. You guys are all excited. I'm personally you. Okay, and now we have our senior prom. It's next Saturday at the Zoo. I'm so excited for that. So thank you for helping making that possible. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And where are you going to college?
I'm going to UCLA on May 3rd.
All right, open communication, Leo Neal.
I'm speaking this? Okay, cool. Hi, guys. So I'm here to talk about health insurance, and you might be having some deja vu. I was here last month talking about.
Well, you
health
look better in
insurance.
person.
Thank you. And so the reason I'm speaking is because once again, I tried to get a refill of my medication and I received a text from my pharmacy saying it was not covered by insurance. And these types of delays are happening to me every single month, which you can imagine is very stressful. I do want to say that I really appreciate all of the help navigating this that HR has been giving me, Amanda and Elizabeth. And I do also know that Ari is very much aware of the situation and fighting on my behalf, but I have yet to see any change from Charter Life. The cards that you guys were told about to help this situation only arrived last week. And I am going to give those a chance for appointments and things like that, but I don't think it's going to fix the prescription situations we're having because of the company that has been chosen by Charter Life to be our pharmacy provider, which is OptumRx. Without going into too much detail, to give you an idea of the things they have told me when denying my medication, I'm not in the system. My medication is not covered by insurance, although speaking with Charter Life, they say our benefits have not changed, and I've been on this medication for years, so it should be covered. They've given me a list of other medications I'm supposed to take first, even though I have been on the medication I'm on for years. They have actually sent out letters to some teachers telling them their medications are no longer covered starting May 1st, which obviously has me concerned since they sent me a letter in January telling me that they wouldn't cover my medication, even though that did get fixed. They have also told me my medication is not FDA approved, but if you go on the FDA website, it has been approved since 2003. So if someone makes a mistake, it's understandable because everybody makes them. I tell that to my students, making mistakes is fine. That's how we learn. But when someone makes the same mistake over and over again, despite being corrected, you have to consider it as a mistake. And I feel like OptumRx is bordering on malfeasance at this point. So I wanted to read to you some reviews from Consumer Affairs website from 2022 about OptumRx as the pharmacy provider that Charter Life has chosen for us. We used to have scripts, just to let you know, our most recent one was scripts, and I had no issues ever getting my medication, not once. So I looked at reviews of OptumRx. There are about almost 5 pages of reviews from 2021 and 2022. Every single review, except for 4 of them, are 1 star. And 2 of the 4 reviews that aren't 1 star are 2 stars. So I've chosen 3 to read you excerpts of because they cover the experience that I've been having without going into any of my personal medical information. So out of the blue, I received a letter from OptumRx that my daughter's needed medication is now denied. Ford switched to OptumRx this year. I have never had problems with the previous company. That's one review. I did read the whole thing, it's rather long. But those covered the things that teachers at our school have been dealing with. This one is from March. As a consumer, I'm not sure I have ever worked with a more inept company. Unfortunately, my insurance plan changed to United Healthcare in January 2022, and their pharmacy services are provided through OptumRx. I have been trying since January to order one of my prescriptions through them. And again, I'm telling you this review is from March. I have spent countless hours on the phone, been disconnected multiple times, and have gotten varying responses which have been incorrect and have complicated getting the prescription filled. I have had my doctor send over many and varied requests to them in order to get the proper prior authorization and prescription, all to no avail. And that is very accurate to my, I have literally dozens of emails back and forth between my doctor's assistant and me trying to get these situations fixed. I had never heard my doctor's assistants curse, not once, in all my experience with her until she had to deal with OptumRx. The final one that I'm going to read to you is from February of 2022. I have been trying to get a refill on my medication for over 3 weeks following a change in insurance provider. At this point, I am due to refill my March dose, as I'm only approved one per month. That is one entire month of migraine prevention that I have been denied. Such has definitely impacted my quality of life and the quality of work that I put into my career and schooling secondary. And I spoke of that one last because I do feel that all of the stress that I have been under since January is starting to affect my ability to be the best teacher I can for my students, which is upsetting because I care so much about my students. And I can't keep going through this. I dread the week that my medications are refilled because I know they will be denied. And I know I will lose a conference period dealing with it, sometimes 2. I have lost 2 to 3 conference periods every single month just trying to get my medication. I never had these problems prior to the switch to Charter Life administering our insurance. I know that the Charter Life representative has said that our benefits have not changed, but that has not been my experience. The RMS is now administrating claims and payments, not Anthem. They are renting the Anthem network, but I do not believe it's the same as having the Anthem network. And we no longer have scripts, we have OptumRx. And while I am absolutely going to give a chance to these new ID cards to fix appointment issues that I have had, I do not think they will fix the prescription issues that many of our teachers are suffering from. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you want to address that now or?
We have it on the board agenda as an item for discussion with COG, so we'll.
Okay, thank you. Brian Walker?
Mine is on an action item that you can't take, so I will wait until you can actually take the action.
No, you can speak now if you want.
No, I'd like to have everybody present for what I have to say.
This is what you're going to get.
Well,
Okay.
I will pursue it a different way.
You can speak now, I mean, the choice is yours.
I am aware of that and I am making the choice.
Rosa?
Go ahead.
No, you can speak now.
You said it.
Rosa?
Buenos días a todos, mi nombre es Rosa Ibarra. Después de que yo les diga lo que voy a exponer, tengo una traductora que me ha proporcionado la escuela para que se enteren mi expresión ante ustedes. Mi nombre es Rosa Ibarra, yo soy del departamento de Written and Ground, custodia. Camino por esta escuela desde hace 22 años y hace 4 años, en el 2018, tuve un accidente de trabajo en el cual quedé deshabilitada permanentemente y la escuela me dijo que fuera a hacer un entrenamiento porque calificaba por el Work Compensation y me gradué para Business Administration Office, donde el cual la administración me dijo que me iba a colocar en una nueva posición y pues hasta muchos meses, años, porque pasaron 4, no me colocó en ningún lugar hasta después de muchos submeetings que tuvimos con mi presidente de la unión, con representantes de la escuela, recursos humanos, empezaron a hacerme proposiciones de dinero, la cual no acepté ninguna, me hicieron 3 y lo único que querían era mi trabajo. En enero de este año me dijeron que no me iban a regresar mi trabajo por las discapacidades que tenía, en las cuales estoy deshabilitada de por vida, causada por un accidente que me ocasionó un compañero de trabajo. No se ocasionó porque yo no tenía los entrenamientos requeridos para mi empleo, sino por otra persona que no tiene los entrenamientos y que no está capacitado para este trabajo. Pero yo aún así seguí adelante, seguí estudiando como mujer fuerte que soy y me gradué Business Administration Office. Estoy aquí no pidiendo nada, solo haciendo saber a todos ustedes lo que ha hecho la escuela conmigo. Enero de este año me dijo que ya no me iba a dar trabajo. ¿Y qué hice? No me quedé cruzada de brazos ni sentada en mi casa llorando, sino que me busqué otro trabajo en la cual estoy empleada ya en otra escuela, en la nueva posición que desempeño ahora, en la cual me fui a capacitar. Solo estoy aquí para que sepan que todo esto me ha ocasionado muchos problemas emocionales, psicológicos, que lo cual ya los tenía y se hicieron más agudos, y estoy aquí para decirles que todo esto me ha ocasionado problemas familiares, económicos, muchas cosas. Pasé 4 días sin luz en mi casa porque no tenía el dinero. Yo soy la cabeza de mi familia. Tengo 2 hijos, en los cuales han caminado por esta escuela, se han graduado en esta escuela. Ahora tengo un paramédico y una hija en el Army. Y estoy aquí fuerte y sigo fuerte. Todo esto lo sabe el director, lo sabe el contador, lo sabe recursos humanos. Y aquí estoy, solo para que también ustedes se enteren de lo que han hecho conmigo. Gracias.
Thank you. You have it all? You have it all?
I don't have all, before she gave me a resume of the points that she wants to
Okay.
express this morning.
To speak in the microphone.
Good morning, my name is Rosa Ibarra. I'm from the Department of Building and Ground. I'm here to express what the school did to me. I had an accident 4 years ago when I was, and it was other person's fault. Here in the school, that person has no training to perform his job back then, and I'm aware that I'm disabled permanently. So I was communicated by HR that I had an option to work with compensation, that be prepared for another job or career. And I was pursuing this. I went to college for 2 years. I finished my training on business administration office, and I have my certificate with me now. My goal was to be prepared for another position here at the school, but everything ended up with no response from the school about my new position. After many Zoom meetings, every meeting I was told different responses. Like, for example, they hired a new company to evaluate me and determine what was the right place for me. After that, they proposed me some financial compensation. It was agreed to sign my resignation. I did not accept any offer from them. I only wanted my job back. The workers' compensation case, it is closed now here in the school, and also they told me if that was an agreement that my case will remain open for 1 year. They told me that if I do not accept the financial compensation, they will terminate my employment. Finally, during all this time, I was looking and applying for another job. I can tell you now that I'm working from another school, and I'm here because I do not asking for anything. I just want to make you aware what the school did to me. And yesterday, I received an email about the termination of my employment. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick, bring it on.
Good morning, great to be here live. My name is Rick Prezant. I am the athletic director. And I want to talk about one thing. But first, I want to thank Will and Tracy for the years here. They've been great. I'm going to miss them. And you know, I want to say I wish they would go, but I can't say that. I understand. And anyway, I want to talk about the name of our school. Now, back then, when we named our school, the Birmingham Community Charter High School, okay, it was good. It was idealistic and everything. However, no one calls our school by its name. It's Birmingham Community Charter High School. Further, if you go throughout the valley, every school claims they're a charter school. Reseda, Sylmar, Cleveland, Taft, all of them say, and all they are some part of LA Unified specific program. They're not what we are. So the name means nothing. If you ask any student here, well, most students, what school do you go to? Birmingham. My proposal for you to think about is to simply, let's go back to this name, Birmingham High School. Not Birmingham Charter, Charter means nothing. Birmingham High School, it would connect with the older alumni like Bob and Tony. But it would, but it makes more sense. No one uses our name. The name is too long. Please, I'll ask you, think about it. Birmingham High School, what a radical idea. And again, I thank you, but I'm not stopping on this one. I really believe that it would make things a lot easier. So anyway, thank you.
You'd have to wait for a charter revision.
I know, I understand that. I understand.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. UTLA, Matt.
Good morning, all. Nice to see you. Richard Fonzo reporting for UTLA here at Birmingham Community Charter High School. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. On a serious note, I much appreciate my peer, my coworker, and my friend, Ms. O'Neill, speaking really on behalf of not just herself, many people. She may not know the whole gravity of the situation, private medical issues and whatnot, but I can tell you that she is the voice for many people. And what's happening here is seemingly a violation of our agreement. There was a material change to our healthcare, and it couldn't be more clear. What action did UCLA take at the moment when we discovered that the promises of no change in better healthcare came to fruition early in January to some? My family was affected as well. My wife had medication that was delayed for 2 weeks, and the type of medication she has, you can't have delays in separation between the type of procedure she has. And my perception is that we've added layers of management, and yes, there's been some cost cutting. And where I find that cost cutting is with OptumRx. And their services are slow, inconvenient, and in many cases, not fruitful. They cancel prescriptions for people, give them other alternatives without any notice. This is a serious problem. This is going to be made. And I mentioned this back in January. When we don't listen, these things persist. And this is, health and welfare of our community is most important. If we can't maintain that, how can we expect this thing to run fluidly, right? I'll be honest, many people get into education for the love of students, of education, but some of the benefits that come along with it. There's, Birmingham, we're blessed, we've got decent financial compensation, but on top of that, we have healthcare, and we've had a really good healthcare provider with options, right? There are multiple layers, and I know that Leah and my family and many others on this campus opt for a high PPO where there are even more options, but we pay a premium for that. And we have not seen the services promised for those extra payments. And not only that, the time that it takes to eradicate any of these issues is immense. If you have a conference period and you spend an hour on the phone to be diverted to another person, I recognize the fact that Charter Life recognizes this. Like, I know the names of all of these people and all of this stuff about healthcare that it's not a duty of mine. I'm willing to get into the weeds and help negotiate and whatnot, but this was just handed to us. I was never granted that opportunity. I had to learn all of this stuff on the fly, and with these layers of management, they've now decided to extend some help to school, and Damon Johnson is here once a week to make phone calls for us. Look, who wants to share all their private medical information with person after person after person after person after person? Way too many people know about some individual's conditions on this campus than need to know. Like, privacy has been thrown out the window. I know that the school and HR, and thank you, Amanda, I mean, you really pour your heart and soul into this, and I know Will's trying too, but this is a problem, and clearly our providers recognize this, and they're sending somebody else to make it easy. Who the hell wants to have to deal with this? Like, you have a healthcare provider, you have it set up, things change here and there. Maybe you want to switch your doctor and you put time in for that, but every single point of contact here, now the employee needs to be involved. And this needs to be changed. This has to be fixed. Maybe this is a point where it's been made clear to us that we need an HR director. Consulting out hasn't helped. There needs to be somebody there managing this who is a professional with experience dealing with these situations. When we show up to a meeting where there are 10 executives from the 3 or 4 different companies that we have trying to overwhelm us with their authority, it's BS. They're not help. They haven't helped at all. These problems persist. On a happier note, we've elected for full-time out-of-classroom coordinators, that's full-time out-of-classroom coordinators. When I got here, there were SLC leads, they got 1 period. I was the lead for 3 years. I'd argue maybe 2 periods would be necessary. Now we've got full-time. We've got some great people filling these positions. Michelle Weifer in 9th grade, Amanda Fitzpatrick in 10th grade, Laura Young for 11th grade, and Janina Franco for 12th grade. Special education held an election for their department chair, and Lindsay Hall was re-elected there. We've had interviews for instructional coaches with some quality candidates, just waiting for a final decision from Ms. Ari Bennett. There are also interviews for a new assistant principal to fill in the position for our beloved Tracy Bowden, who will be dearly missed by many, especially myself. I don't know if a decision's been made on filling that position or not, but the interviews have happened. I was partook in those. We have half-time instructional coaches. These are half-time, it's out of the classroom, half-time, so that's 1 day a week in essence, or 1 every other day in essence. These will be, this past year, we've had them in math and science. It's going to be extended to English this upcoming year. Ironically, we went through this whole last year without having an MOU completed to be signed. Still working on that MOU for this upcoming year on how the structure and placement and the need for these positions, how that should be satisfied. Upcoming, we're also going to have a full-time events coordinator that's full-time out of classroom. We'll also support part of ASB as part of their duties. One concern that keeps coming up from many faculty members, we always find out about this after the fact. Our school is sending people on all sorts of great PDs all over the country, thousands of dollars being spent. And only selected people get invited on this thing. It's not opened up to the faculty. Nobody knows. We have people who have wide interests that may be helped by some of these PDs or not. And we don't know. It comes back to the transparency I talked about before, the favoritism that's pervasive here. Let's make this a little bit more equitable and try to reach consensus. And getting consensus here now has gotten way more difficult than it ever has in the past. Way too much top-down decision-making. And let's say, Mr. Covington, you will be missed. You are on the other side of the table here. A familiar view, but I know, just speaking for myself here at UCLA, that I will dearly miss you. And we've gone through a lot here together, and you will not be forgotten. And thank you for your service, Will. And thank you for your time, Will.
Thank you. Okay. CEO report.
All right, good morning, everybody. It's good to see everybody. Bob Marks, it's good to see you. Virginia, good morning. It's good to see you. Michael, good to see you. John.
Good to be seen.
Yes, Bob, Alexander, good to see you. Antonio, good to see you. Amanda, good morning. Jose Luis, and Anna here, of course. Will, good morning again. Again, I just want to start off always by just being very grateful towards all of us that were able to show up today to this meeting. I know it's a lot of responsibility for all of us at times, but I'm always very grateful and appreciative that you show up, as well as for all the staff behind me as well. Thank you all very much. A communication regarding the collective bargaining agreement was sent out to Mr. Jim Young recently. We're looking to see how fast we can just get the contract signed. My understanding is that it's basically already done, we're just looking to sign it. So we're looking to get to that step as soon as possible, and I'm sure we will be hearing very soon about that. Another communication was recently sent out about the open BCCHS board seat. It was sent out, I believe, about a week ago, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't received any letters of interest yet, but of course I'd be looking to, talk a little bit more about that. Maybe there's other incentives that we could provide there that would, make the seat more attractive to one of our classified staff. That could be a possibility. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And that's basically it. That's all I have. I really just want to shout out our teachers, of course. I have to shout out our teachers, all of our classified staff here. I know when issues come up, within staff, it can become overwhelming at times, but I have a lot of faith in all of us here that we can make good things happen for all of our students and their families, and anybody really that walks through these gates at this school. So shout out to our teachers, our classified staff, our HR department, business office, all the staff that handle really a lot of the human relations issues that can come up here. It's a very difficult job to have. So again, thank you to all of us for being here. I appreciate all the great work and the experience that you guys have. And I know that this school is in good hands ultimately. So looking forward to making a lot more good things happen here. And Will, of course, personally, I'm going to miss Will. I met him when I came in, I think I was probably 22 or 23. And very tall guy, very focused guy, very centered. I didn't start talking to him more up until recently that I took on this role, and personally learned a lot from him. So I'm sure he's going to do great wherever he goes. So, all right, that's it. Thank you all very much. Have a great morning, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Okay, information items 1 through 5 are also on the action items, so I might have to call a special board meeting to approve those items. Of field trips that are going to occur in June, so we have time. Board election update, Bob.
Good morning. I'm Bob Marks. I'm a community representative here on the board, and we have elections coming up for different board positions. So as Jose mentioned, there's classified, although it's identified in the charter as non-certificate. And of course, he's working on that, and thank you. Matt's working on the UTLA representative, and I may have selected them already.
Oh, yeah, we did also.
Thank you very much for handling that. That leaves us with 2 other positions or categories. Parent, and what we usually do with the parents is we have those elections at back to school night, which isn't going to occur until probably late August, early September. And of course, community. So we've sent out and posted on the website the flyers, so to speak, for the qualifications for all the positions. Once again, I'm referring to the classified or non-certificated, and Jose answered that, and he's working on that. But the community has gone out. The community is due on May 12th. If there's anyone out there that's interested. And then the parent also went out, and we'll probably resubmit that one probably in the summer. The community is due on May 12th. So depending on the number of applicants we get for community, including incumbents on the board that wish to continue, we then would hold selection. If the number of candidates for community is the same as the number of seats available, then we would just have an affirmation or confirmation vote, probably in June. So for the elections, and we do this every year, because we have two different terms for the community. The parent, and they're 2-year terms, except for parent, they're every year. So the UTLA or certificated, the community, and the classified is a 2-year term. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, but we'll have reports on this until we get everybody selected, which would be by the end of June, by that last meeting, which is prior to the new school year opening July 1st.
Hey, Bob.
Just to clarify for you, Bob, Dennis Coleman and Matt Mowry will be
They're really-
continuing. Just so-
Thank you.
I'll send you.
They were incumbents whose term was going to expire.
That's
We
right.
still have other certificated members. Thank you.
You got some.
Thank you. Okay, Wendy, school control. Antonio.
Does the parent term expire later in the year?
Yeah, parent terms are usually once a year,
Say it again?
once a year,
I said, when does it expire?
June 30th.
So why are we okay waiting till August? That looks bad.
Well, the
Why can't we
idea
have-
of
why can't we have
waiting
the
till
same,
August
date?
was to have the parents have an opportunity to vote at
But
the
we have a
back to
PTSA.
school night.
We have a PTSA, they can probably do that beforehand. I'm just saying, it looks bad, I know we do it, but it just looks bad when we do it after a term expires. So if we can help that, I would encourage us to be more proactive, engage PTSA or.
Well, I don't have a
whatever, to do
problem.
that prior.
No, I
Especially coming
understand,
into a new year,
Antonio.
it'd be great to have a parent perspective coming into a new year, they have a child going into a new, so I would like to propose that.
It was really a meeting to have parents be able to vote. And since the back to school night,
So doesn't PTSA have meetings every other month or something like that? I think.
Most of the
I'm seeing head shaking, I don't know, I'm not
So I
here.
can comment on that. So what I can take back to, I will give to someone to take back to PTSA, is to say that before they have their last meeting of the calendar year or the fiscal year, that they do their elections early and coordinate. I can take that recommendation back to Mr. Bennett.
Either that, or let's proactively push back the term date of that particular board position, so that we're not always running behind every
Yeah,
year.
but the bylaws do say until a
Have to change the
successor
bylaws.
has been selected.
I get
So,
it, I get it.
so we can see if they can do something before the end of the school
I'll
year.
make sure Mr. Bennett is aware of that.
And as far as the community seats, besides just posting the website, are we doing anything proactively? Like, I know a few years back, we went to local chambers, maybe a neighborhood council meeting, promoted, are we doing anything like that? Just to reach out more proactively and get more?
that would probably be a responsibility of the parent rep. But keep in mind, in the past, prior to COVID, the largest group or collection of parents was at the back to school night. I think that's how it originated.
I was referring to the community position.
Yeah, no, but,
Okay.
but not about the election. But I will concede or admit that with COVID, we held our last election at the meeting. We had a meeting. We didn't have back to school night in person. So,
I was referring to the community positions, but that's
Yeah.
okay, that's fine.
not community, parent.
And then.
So Miss Hill was actually selected at a meeting.
And just last suggestion, question, sorry, Ms. Bailey, I know you're up there.
No, I'm fine.
But prior to
This is
that,
more
it
of
was
a
always
common
selection
question,
or election
Also in response to.
at back to school night.
Would it be helpful, it sounds that we're having challenges getting folks interested from certificated.
Classified, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, classified. Side, I always wonder about that, right? I would think we have people wanting to be here and have a voice. Would it be helpful for somebody from the board to speak to your group or help them understand what the role of a board member is? I'm only saying that because, just to speak openly, everyone, I mean, I'm an alumni here. Whenever I'm around my peers that are alumni, and, I try to encourage them to, hey, be a part of the board, you live down the street, whatever, and, I get you're in the headlights, so like, what does that mean, right? So I often wonder, would it be helpful to be more proactive about teaching folks about what it means to be on the board of a school like this. So to the extent that it's helpful, I'm happy to help in that process. And same with you, because I just feel there's more talent out there that should be a part of this school. It's such a large school, in this community. I doubt we can't find 15 people, to rotate every once in a while. So anyway, this way, I'm sorry if you're saying.
No, it's fine. I just, as one of the founding members of the charter, and I think there's other people here like Virginia who could attest to this, the intention was to see the new board, everyone in the new board by the July or at the latest, the August meeting. And to put off things until the next school year is, to me, concerning. And also, when I was asked to recruit new members for the community, I posted notices in local papers. I faxed notices to local religious organizations and to the Encino Tarzana Chamber of Commerce. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay, Wendy, you're just giving a report. There's no action
approval.
taken on this, right?
No, the action is, in the past, we have reported in May with a vote for approval in June. With Mr. Covington leaving, the LCAP team felt it was important to put everything out as soon as possible. This also will allow for the public, since this board meeting serves as our public hearing for the LCAP. So if the public has any concerns or questions, they can come to the next meeting, state them, and then the board will vote on the final budget and LCAP in June. Okay? So thank you for coming today. I will have to say personally, I'm a little disappointed in attendance. This time of year is very important to the charter, where we're going through budgets and strategic plans. And I guess it's just been a difficult transition. I know that waking up early on a Saturday morning was very painful, but here I am. Before I start on the LCAP, I'm sorry, another interjection. I just want to again acknowledge Mr. Covington. He took the time to understand my background and exploit the opportunity in bringing me on in this hybrid position as a teacher and a finance person. And I couldn't do these things without his help and support, and he will be missed. And I don't know what I'm going to do when I need to make a panic phone call about something.
So far, we're going to have to check your direct deposit as well as the other good things about Will so far. We're starting to wonder if there's something going on.
Yeah, well, sometimes people have that effect. All right, so there should be a PowerPoint that's coming up. PowerPoint. Everyone in the public and on the board should have a double-sided summary of the LCAP, its components, its current planned actions, et cetera, but I am doing PowerPoint. Again, this is required by law since it has to be presented in front of the public. So while he has that set up, I'm just going to skip through the first couple of slides. The LCAP is the While we're waiting, I just wanted to get Amanda for giving me clarification. With getting his last minute, there was a certain person wandering around campus yesterday while some of us were awaiting final approval of the budget. I can't imagine who that was, but Anna was very patient. All right, so the LCAP, we go through this every year. I'm sure that people that are on the board and the people that are always in the audience are familiar. It is our official business plan for all state funds. However, as a charter in a single school district, we incorporate the use of our federal funds in this plan. There's 3 goals. The LCAP has had 3 goals in the past. We're adding a 4th goal. We're carving out the indirect costs of administration and operations of the school into that goal, since those measures are not directly tied to student performance. So there's a new goal. The components of the LCAP are where, yeah, you can go to the next slide. Oh, no, just go back a second because I have to, just so you know, because, keep on going. Okay, just so you know, because of the influx of state and federal COVID relief money, there's additional reports that are attached to the plan. One of them is the supplement to the annual update. We were required to present that by the end of February, but it's voted on as a component of the LCAP, which will happen in June. Okay. So the LCAP is a report that includes the update on our progress towards our metrics. It also is a report where we discuss identifiable needs, and then our actions and the budget for those needs. Our actions are really focused on creating a organizational structure and elements of human resources within it to address the incredible challenge of the learning loss among students and the significant increase in anxiety and depression amongst our student body this year. So if you could continue. Later on during this meeting, I know Mr. Navarro is going to present information in detail about our multi-tiered system of support. Those operations are critical, are embedded in this LCAP report. Okay, so just everyone acknowledge, nod your head, there is an alignment as required between our LCAP, our school plan for student achievement, which is the report that we have to submit for our federal funds, our WASP report, and then also our LAUSD oversight report. So we have gotten to a point in our school identity, age in our school identity, where we're really coalescing and having not just a cohesive report portfolio, but also an operational cohesiveness. Okay, I'm going. All right, so this shows you where the money is coming from. The blue side is what we have to report on in the LCAP, but again, as a single school charter, we're also including how we're spending the federal money. There's been a great infusion. You'll see there's a number of relief grants, and then there's also additional ones for the state. So if you go to the next slide, I did a little summary of where all this money is coming in. This is one-time money. It's restricted in how it can be spent, and it's tied to improving the operations, the human resources, and the services that go directly to students because of learning loss and social emotional impact. So all that money, it's about almost 23 million, of which we spent about 9 million already. In previous meetings, you know that there's been a lot involved in the cleaning of the schools, the increase in operational cleaning, the extensive testing program that is far better than LAUSD, and all the costs related to it. And that's what this relief money also has been for. So we have approximately $13.5 million, of which some of it, for example, the educator effectiveness funds, expiries out by June 2026. And in all these funds, it's you use it or you lose it. And it has to be spent according to these requirements. Okay, so the part of the LCAP is engaging all our, what used to be called stakeholders, but we're not allowed to call them that anymore, they're education partners. Native American group up north had issues with that. And we do that through a variety of methods, in spite of the fact that COVID separated us physically. The technology that's introduced has really helped us get more information from our education holders. And God bless Google Forms and the surveys that are always floating around. Okay, next slide. So this is our preliminary budget. So next year, we anticipate receiving funds of approximately $59 million. This is a small city. And you'll see in these pie charts, the light on the left side, the larger pie chart, the light blue is the state money. And then the right-hand one blows it out to show how we have our base funds. And then when you see the very light section of that pie, it says LCFF supplemental and concentration grants. That's the additional money we get because of our unduplicated count of social, economic disadvantaged students, English learners, foster youth, and African American students. So we have quite a budget, but we have a lot of challenges. Next slide. So we have put the LCAP survey in place for parents. We've received over 300 responses already. Of course, the first people that always answer these surveys are self-selected. They're happy with the school. We're getting great feedback. They are happy with the increase in access and communication from the school. They're, all these families, they're so concerned about their kids, how are they doing, their adjustment. There is concern about bullying. There's always concern about bullying. They appreciate the response in light of COVID, and also the work that's being done at the school of apprising not just students but families about graduation requirements, A through G completion requirements, and college and career opportunities. Next slide. So this graph on the right that Ari Bennett put together, I felt should kind of be our image for the year. We should make t-shirts and everything on it, because it's really that green intersection of student prosperity. Students feel good, feel safe, and are doing well academically, is the intersection of addressing their social emotional needs with, at the same time, ensuring that there's academic rigor on campus. You have approved additional personnel to achieve that goals. Matt Franzo just mentioned some of our increase in out-of-classroom teachers that are part of the infrastructure to create almost, I like to think that it almost is a boutique approach to dealing with a very large number of students. We're also having an increase in bilingual aids. It's a very important example of how ELAC, the English Learners Advisory Council, has articulated that need, and we've responded to it. So there's a lot of tutoring going on. There's a lot of additional enrichment activities with Educare. We're bringing in Link Crew, which is a mentoring program for kids on campus. And then, of course, the very comprehensive MTSS program. Next. We not only have to educate the kids on what they currently need to learn, but we have to catch them up on their skills. So we're expanding our academic response to Goal 1 with summer orientation, not just being for 9th graders, but also a 10th grade program, a summer boot camp, which sounds really great. We're launching a 2-year pilot academy program, and also we have implemented the required AB 1505 interim assessments for English, math, and science. In terms of college and career readiness, next year is going to be the year of everyone knowing what A through G completion means. That has to do with kids graduating with a college-ready diploma. And A through G are the letters for the different subjects. So a lot of activities from different functions on campus in helping kids and parents understand that, and also to evaluate it. I just want to point out the UC Office of the President Transcript Evaluation Service. We retained it last year. It's extremely helpful in counselors being able to advise students in what they have to do to achieve that. Next slide. A lot going on in terms of student engagement. We are continuing to work on improving our communication and transparency. And the parent engagement, all of our enrollment now is done through an online verification process. And so we're continuing with that, and we are hope to provide additional technical support to train parents in how to use the technology so they can help their kids. Oh, that's it. So any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Because I see there's a budget for homeless students.
Yes.
How does a school help a homeless student?
That's a really good question. Okay, I was the homeless liaison for, I think, 3 years. Veronica Perez, who's bilingual, is the homeless liaison now. We're required by law to identify them and provide continued support in the form of any school supplies they need, anything they need to participate as any other student would on campus, and transportation. We're providing transportation to all students through a free TAP card program, but for homeless students, their needs are a little bit more complex. I would say it's been a little frustrating at times because federal law, the McKinney-Vento Act, that states support of homeless students. They state the things we should do, but they state a lot of things we're not allowed to do. So we're able to provide them with clothing and other supplies to be able, to come to campus just like everyone else. But at least when I was homeless liaison and at the beginning of Veronica's term, they're all asking for Section 8 housing. They're asking for housing. And I don't know if you heard on the news, but LAHSA, the Los Angeles Housing Homeless Something Authority, the head of that just resigned. And so there's just not enough low cost or Section 8 housing for homeless people. It's very frustrating. I know Veronica is working with the business office right now, figuring out how to spend that specific earmark, $27,000 that should be done over the course of a couple of years. Oh, and also food vouchers. We work with SOVA down the street, so those sort of things.
Isn't the Airtel Section 8? Didn't they convert the Airtel hotel to housing for the homeless?
I think they were proposing, I don't know if they did.
Oh.
But the problem is, there's just so many vouchers for a lot more people. So, any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, committee reports, curriculum instruction. I will go right through them. Human resources.
Human resources are gonna talk about this in the CEO report.
Okay. Facilities.
Good morning, once again, Richard Fonzo reporting for facilities here at Birmingham Community Charter High School. Start with the cafeteria. We have encasements around the campus, if you walked around, that are set up to increase food distribution and decrease the amount of time students need to stay in line to receive food. With these encasements, we've seen about 115 to 120 increase in meal services. The time is also actually decreased. Looking into, so currently, just to get some perspective here, we serve anywhere between 1,600 and 1,700 meals a day. It ranges, but moving into next year, the goal is around 2,000. And so,
So these are mine too.
There's a global plan for next year, which includes a few things, and mostly revolving around services to students, of course. But one thing would be refreshing our FDR, just a few times in for staff members, redoing the windows and the messaging for students right outside of here for the cafeteria where the vast majority of the meals are served. Really putting a new face on what's coming. So next year, we need to serve food, free food for all. And as a result, we also need to, it's called provision 2, get the meal service cards from all of our students to set a baseline so that we know how much federal funding that we should receive to be able to serve these meals. There's going to be a strong initiative next year to be able to get back all of the, whether or not you qualify or not for free food, that doesn't matter. We just will need the information in the cards so that we can provide free food to all students. Yes, so moving forward, capital projects. We have a big project that's been ongoing 6 or 7 years now out in the 400 bungalows to put classrooms in there and a bathroom. Right now, we've only received one bid for placing those bungalows in place. And for such a large project, we're talking, I've seen numbers between $1 million to $2.5 million for this project. This is on top of what we've already spent. We've only had one bid. We need 3 bids. That process is going to be revamped, I think, and extend it out and go for another try here. One of the problems, though, I will say with the new bungalows is that there's a transformer that's part of the project that is going to have a 50-week delay on it. That's a year in essence, right? So some of this may not come to fruition for a little while. There was a suggestion at the facilities meeting on Wednesday. We do have some bungalows that were not modified to be classrooms that may be substituted as offices. So there could be a suggestion in the near future here that there are spaces for the extra bungalows out there that maybe those be put in place for additional office spaces overlaid on the classrooms. I've got a list of stuff here. So we've had field lights. So that's for the Balboa field and for the soccer field. They've been approved. We need to do soil testing before the light encasements can actually be drilled into the ground and placed there. That's upcoming. We've got a number of new sheds here on campus. One's being used for testing supplies, Chromebook carts, an emergency shed, wrestling shed. Out by the 400s, we had a container that was replaced with a container that's twice the size. Ongoing projects that we have here on campus, this is also part of the maintenance and operations, but maintaining our trees. We've got lots of beautiful trees around here. Concrete hazard as a result of the trees, the roots coming up, leaving out, and sometimes replacing pieces of concrete as well. Campus safety, been very active recently. You know, it's coming the end of this school year, but even moving into this summer, we've got a number of activities that are going to continue on, including summer school, a 9th grade bridge program, a boot camp. Part of this is Patriot Preview. So we will have campus aids here on campus throughout. There has been some, we do random police drug dog searches, I guess, of classrooms, and some contraband has come up as it always has. There's, I think, as part of campus safety here is, you'll see it, it's on the agenda, replacement of golf carts. Our carts are old, looking for 6 replacements. When parents and people come on campus, visitors, they're still required to do the COVID questionnaire. And so moving into technology, technology here on campus, all of the classrooms will receive new printers. They haven't all been installed, but testing has been going on. These tables here are actually set up for testing. And here in the old gym, the smaller gym, I don't know what the exact timeline is, but I know that the printers have been delivered to the classrooms and they're sitting there, and a number of them have already been set up. In relation to just the entire network here at school, we're gonna have a second 5G backup in place, which if our internet goes down, we'll have a backup there. With seemingly a minimal cost, $750 for the SIM card, $300 a month to keep that thing running. It doesn't need a switch, it will automatically activate it while the services go down. When it comes to hardware or tickets to our tech room, with students, it's mostly Chromebook hardware. It's the same for teachers, it's hardware concerns. We have 2 classrooms that are in the process of being outfitted as Apple classrooms. This is 33 and 65. Our tech leader, Mr. Cherubian, he is going to 2 trainings in May for this. Administrative designee, I believe, will be invited. Once that's completed, all of the classrooms will be set up and this will be ready going into the next school year. Class of 2026, Chromebooks have been delivered. They're hiding in the undisclosed secret location, maybe or may not be on this campus. The approximate cost for that was about $360,000. Now, this may be spoken to at some point or another. Authorization for this payment has been submitted to the federal government. They haven't fully paid what the amount due. The school itself will, at some point here in the near future, actually pay for these computers with the belief that at some point in time that the federal government will reimburse the school. There are new office phones going in place that are supported by Teams, the Microsoft Teams, and the seniors this year are returning their Chromebooks without the option to buy. And what's going to happen is with those extra Chromebooks, the ones that are functioning well, they'll be dispersed throughout classrooms as extra Chromebooks. For operations, management operations, the summer lockers, over summer the lockers will be replaced. All of the parts have been delivered. As we do every year, the floors will be waxed and cleaned. Exterior paint will be refreshed, and then the dance floor is also going to be replaced and updated. And that's all I have for facilities and operations.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
On the classroom project, is the transformer issue, is that, in your opinion, is that the reason why we haven't gotten more bids?
Oh, I don't know.
So, in my report out, line and line,
okay.
Yeah, that'd be very good.
Thank you. Rose, Finance Advisory Committee?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm going to do a brief report for advisory. We met last Wednesday. Thank goodness every single chair representative of every committee was present and able to express all the things that are going on in each one of the committees. We did receive our finance report for the last quarter finances, all the predictions. and so forth. So basically, we discussed about that the July and October actuals are being taken for the first interim, and then in November and January are added to the second interim. We also are reviewing all the attendance and students who might be enrolled here. The target is about 97 or 98% attendance. But thank goodness the matrix is driven by student enrollment. I know there is an issue going on with the attendance for LAUC, so hopefully, things are going to get cleared up for that. We are in attendance, not in enrollment base, I said, and then the STIRS and PARIS benefits are included in the total compensation, and we have about $4 million a month that is the cost for us to operate. We also talk about the CARES money that should be ended up on zero, so we want to use all for this year. Other than that, there are some other issues that will continue to be discussed, which will be what are the future budget for next year. We know that changing directors, and I know will be very much missed. That will cause some, irregularities probably, but knowing that everything is in place and his team is already trained and quite knowledgeable of how these allocations are going to be done, I have faith that everything will become to be as it was for right now. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, Mr. Navarro, good to see you in person.
Thank you. I'm actually already met. This is
You
what I
don't
look
look
like in
like
person. Yeah,
You're
they
right.
say Zoom adds like 10 pounds, so.
I think most of the people are still waiting for the Zoom meeting, so you're up.
Thank you. And just like everyone else, I want to echo our thanks for Will. Will, since he's been here, like any good leader, has been working himself out of a job. Training other people to do his job, but like any great leader, he's still to be missed. Do you feel like I need it?
No, you can
Okay.
have it.
I'm good. Thank
Feel
you.
better.
But again, Will is going to be missed, but we do feel very confident in the team that he's been preparing all along. Already just wanted to give you a few updates. One was the key learnings from the Innovation School Summit. The title of it was Overcoming Learning Loss, Supporting Emotional and Mental Health Needs. This is brought to Ari from the PSA, Nancy Rocha, and Sandy Brown, our head counselor. And they found a conference that they thought was addressing some of the needs that they were seeing in their students. So Ari asked me to put together a team from the 9th grade, and he asked Cindy and Mark to put together a team from the 10th grade. Many people didn't want to travel because of code restrictions, but we ended up putting a team together of 2 administrators, and plus Ari, 4 teachers, 3 academic counselors, a dean, a PSA, and a PSW. So we went to New York, and again, it was overcoming learning loss, supporting our students' social and emotional needs. And it was very informative. We got together at the end, we debriefed, and we came up with 10 key learnings and then some next steps, and I just want to share those with you. The 10 key learnings: mindfulness is a great tool to help our students and staff become more resilient and focused. 2, understanding brain development is important to understanding why our students are acting the way they act. Tending to our students' social emotional needs is imperative if learning is to happen. 4, building community will help students feel safe, a sense of belonging, and will eventually make them available to learn. 5, a child who is not embraced by the village will burn down the village to feel its warmth. It's an African proverb that seemed to stick with a lot of us. And we felt the need, we're talking about, Cindy was there, we talked about the importance of inclusion of our young men. They're 68% of our discipline issues. They are roughly about 70% of our underperforming students at this point. So what's going on with our boys? And so there's a big focus on special ed, EL, inclusion of race and ethnicity. Number 6, trauma and marginalization are real, and we need to develop systems to address it. Restorative justice creates the conditions where authentic relationships can thrive. Abraham Maslow was right that students' needs need to be taken care of before they're available to learn. Number 9, weaving a safety net so tight that no student or staff falls through it is incredibly important. And 10, treat the causes of students' choices, not the symptoms. We sat back and debriefed. We wanted to inform out of our out-of-class support of our teachers and our students. And those are some of the key learnings we came across with. When we came back there, when we shared this out, some are sharing it out this Tuesday at our grade level lead academy PD. But there's been like I was saying, a lot of interest in this professional development. We wanted first to just educate the support staffs. These are the things we were seeing, but we're going to put together another team of teachers and support staff for the December summit. And we're going to be sending, depending on the interest, anywhere from 12 to 16 people to the December summit because of the interest and because of how it actually was hitting things on the head, the needs of our students. Before, well, it's hard to see the board with trauma in your way. It's hard to see the board with poverty in your way. And poverty is not a learning disability. When it goes unmitigated, it can be debilitating. And so how can we address these things? We can't do everything, but we can do something. That was the point of the conference. The next steps was identify common strategies we can recommend to teachers from day one that will help teachers with structure, procedures, and belonging. These were key, our next steps that our teachers brought forward. With us. 2, perhaps, this was a suggestion from one of them, perhaps veteran teachers who are trauma-informed, trained to be trauma-informed, can be paid to help teachers who are struggling with student behavior. That was one of their suggestions. 3, create systems outside the classroom to build community and explicitly teach behaviors we'd like to see. Those are 3 of our next steps from the conference. Any questions about the conference or anything? Excellent. You want to post the MTSS? Multi-tiered system of support. You'll see this handout in your Dropbox. You're also going to see it projected in just a second. And it's been revised from some of our learnings from this conference. Before it was displayed as tiers, it still is tiers, but you'll notice just a little bit of a difference. In education, we love triangles, so triangles seem to work. But the green, if you notice, takes up the majority. The idea is whatever we do for all of our students, if it's working, should capture 80%. 80% of our students should be successful based on our metrics. Our metric is 2.0 and above. And as we get into this deeper, we will add to the metrics. For example, we will add A through G matriculation. Isaac's done a lot of work in there, and our A through G matriculation is growing rapidly, like almost as fast as our graduation rate. But whatever we do for everyone should catch, in theory, according to the state of California, 80% of our students. Right now, we're at 75% of our students are getting a 2.0 or better. And so we're right on track, but this is hard to read, but you definitely have a copy of it. These are the systems we put in place that all of our students will experience. You think about it as concentric circles, if you are, concentric triangles. The green encompasses everything that is in the blue and the red. When you look at this, these are things like, for example, I'll give you an example. Tutoring is something all of our students have access to. Ms. Cindy realized that not all of our students were being successful, so she embedded some of the tutoring. That would be a tier 2. So we looked at classes that were having our students are having struggles, and we embedded some of the tutors. So that would go to a tier 2, that we weren't able to catch those students in tier 1, tier 2, and then tier 3 is really individual one-on-one support. PSWs, individual counseling, IEPs. Again, the concept is you take that 80, add it to 15, add 5, that's 100% of our students have been caught by systems. Make it systemic across the student, and not just dependent upon an individual. Oh, you had a good teacher this year, that's why you did well. No, you went to Birmingham, that's why you did well. Because all of our systems are aimed in the same direction. Our aim is 100% graduation, 100% A through G matriculation. Are we there right now? No, but we will get there. And if we're aiming for anything less than 100%, I think we're suspect. So that is our aim. These are the systems, and it is constantly in flux. When you take a look at this, there's quite a few little points in there. Be happy to, at any time, take a phone call if you had an idea, if you wanted to add something to this, but we're constantly testing. Our MTSS team meets about every 3 weeks, specifically right after our grades come out. We analyze the data. And we're looking at everything from our students' love languages to their GPAs. We want to know their Lexile level. We want to know their attendance, everything we can. We want to know why is a student underperforming. underperformance is a symptom, it's not the problem. So what exactly is the issue? And that's what we're trying to address. One little example are the pins you see in front of you, these little lapel pins. All of our teachers received them this Tuesday at our GLA meeting. I put them in front of the board members. And the lapel pin, you get one at this school if you're on the honor roll. All of our teachers will have the opportunity to give one to a student they find doing something honorable, catching somebody doing something right. They'll get one a year to give to a student. And the idea is to build a relationship, but also each teacher that we can catch a kid doing something right. The teacher will be given another one to wear, one to give away. You have one a year, so choose wisely. So we'll make a big deal out of it when a kid gets one. All of you, by being on this board, serving this community, we wanted to point out that you're doing something honorable at this moment, just by being accessible. And I think when you pointed out on Saturday morning is probably really why you were in that pin, waking up on Saturday morning. The MTSS, all of this is data-based. It's strategic decision-making. That's probably one of the best things when I put together what is our word that described will. We did a Wordle form, was strategic. And it was enlightened self-interest. We're doing this because it's in our collective self-interest. And the MTSS is, if our students are performing well, then we're performing well. I think Ms. O'Neill pointed out perfectly just the integration between our teachers and our students. How much they care about one another. We're trying to figure out, we're supporting our students, we're supporting our teachers, and vice versa. So I really do hope we're able to get that taken care of. My daughter's in Ms. O'Neill's class, and I see what she does firsthand. Yeah, it's got to be taken care of, but this is not limited just to our students. Right now, we're engaging with improvement science, and the idea is to fail quickly and fail often. Try things, see if it's working. If it's not working, move on. But failure is not shame. Not learning from it is shameful. And so we're engaging with improvement science out of Stanford and the Carnegie Institute. And we do PDSAs, Plan, Do, Study, Act. Right now, every GLA is initiating a PDSA. For example, in 9th grade, we were working on phone addiction, and we just did a quick little study, a pre and post survey of our students, educated them on what happens when you can't put your phone down. And the one thing we came across, we just finished up the study, is students all admitted, yeah, it was really interfering. They did better when their parents took away their cell phones, but they didn't want to give up their cell phones. Excellent. So let's move on. What are we going to do now? Now that we know that, we've explained that. So each one of our GLAs, 9, 10, 11, 12, is initiated a PDSA. It takes about 3 weeks. We collect some data, plan, do, study, act. The idea is to evolve quickly and evolve together and evolve so we can add systems to this triangle. Make sure that we're providing safety nets for everybody. One little PDSA I tried is we looked at the data and we noticed that our students that are involved in after-school programs, specifically performing arts and athletics, are 3 times as likely to be on the honor roll than those students are not. And so I engaged our coaches, Rick, Lionel, and I engaged our coaches. We gave them the data, and we just gave it to them about 3 weeks ago in the second talk report. Our GPAs next to the tardies. Tardies are an issue. Period 1 and 5, we're working on that. But our in-between classes, we noticed that if you're tardy in between classes, you're having a hard time getting period 1 and period 2 with a 10-minute passing code, something's wrong. And those students, 68% of the kids on a red list, any 2.0 or below, have 2 or more tardies. So the idea is if we can lessen those tardies, we can improve. If the kids' butts are in seats, we can teach them. That's the idea. We engaged our coaches and we said, here's the data, do something about this. And Coach Mowry's not here, but I want to point this out to him. Of his 32 baseball players that had a tardy, excluding period 1 and 5, throughout the day tardies. On the first progress report, only 12 of them had a tardy on the second one. I think the idea that I'm upset with you, or it's just another caring adult put between you and your bad decisions, has had an effect. All of our sports teams have seen an improvement, and it was just simply taking a look at the data, seeing where the kids are performing, engaging the resources we have. We can't do everything, but we can do something. We challenge all our coaches on that. We saw an improvement with almost every single one of our athletic programs. Cheerleading and baseball are leading the way. And cheerleading right now is in their city championship performance competition at Dennis High School at this moment, so I just want to throw it out there. Not only are they kicking butt in their performances, but they are also up there with baseball as far as leading with the number of student athletes on our honor roll. So that's just, Ari wanted me to make sure I was updating you on those two aspects. And if there are no questions. Excellent.
Thank you. This MTSS model come out of that.
No, we've been doing this for the last 2 years. It's actually from the state of California, and the idea with the mandate was do something for your students. And it was, well, what does that mean? And so many times we go to conference, it tells us what we need to do. This conference was focused on how to do it. A lot of practitioners school-based, instead of just theory. That was the real benefit.
Yeah, and Will, is there specific funding track for this?
Yeah,
For much of
so,
this?
yeah, there is funding, some of the funding that we provide for that is related to, our supplemental concentration funding from LTFF. Because the majority of students who we're actually supporting and we're like school-wide Title I, we can dedicate to support the increased services for academic achievement.
So are these percentages actual Birmingham numbers?
No, that's by the state of California. That's the, that's their.
So are we able to take this model and apply it to ours?
That's exactly what we're doing, yeah. And so right now, ideally, it's.
It'd be great to see that.
No, yeah, exactly, yeah.
It'd be great to see a similar model that shows total student population and where they fall into these tiers.
Got it, okay.
Right?
Yeah, that's
And
easy.
then even by grade level, it'd be nice to see that because in terms of student performance, if there is something type of it, it'd be nice to see, okay, our ninth grade class was 70, 25, 5 or whatever. And then by the time they graduated, it was 90, 7 and 1.
Got it.
You know, just again, if there's something type of that. You know.
Well, one of our MTSS meetings, I do a breakdown. And I already said, don't get lost in the weeds, because I love data. I'll talk about this for days. This is a profile of what it looks like if you're failing on our campus. And this is a profile of what if you're not getting honor roll. So for example, if you're on a red list, 2.0 below, so we're not catching you in the first round. Right now, 25% of our students we're not catching. They're falling below 2.0. So we're catching 75%. The state says we should be at 80. We're really close. On the final, last year and this year, I imagine at the end of fall, we were at 21%. So we were 79% of our students we were catching. That's the idea. Is that's your target? Let's try to make sure.
Well, the target should be 100%.
Absolutely.
It shouldn't be 80, but that's where I think it'd be more meaningful to see that type of data at the board level. Right. I think this is great as a reference, but I think
we definitely have it. I just didn't.
That's fine. That's fine.
And to add some color onto that, so within the LCAP process, these are action items that should have numbers that do exactly that. We've identified MTSS in the detail, which will have what we call EA modes, which you got familiar with, and those expected annual outcomes, which should show that movement. So you'll see the dollar tied to the action items in LCAP.
Thank you. Okay, Will, you're gonna be part of this with the healthcare.
So first, one, thank you everybody for all the kind work. I'm not gone yet. I mean, I am not active on campus, but I will be here for the remaining 2 board meetings because we haven't finished the budget process. So I'll come for the 3 more issues. One, I don't know if folks know, this is Amanda Dresser. She is the HR manager. She has been a true partner to me in making sure we manage the important part behind the supporting the mission of supporting students is helping staff make sure that this is a place that folks want to work and folks want to feel that they're protected enough to do the work of the institution. Obviously, we're aware of, and it was brought to the board's attention at the last meeting about the challenges that we have with the healthcare. By no means we are not minimizing. This is our number 1 priority. We know it is a problem. We also agree with Matt is saying that something has to change, and we are addressing the issue in the near term, but we're also evaluating some of the aspects in the future. So I'll let Amanda talk a little bit about what she's experienced in terms of managing this. And she's been at the front of this, helping Ari and I. We have a weekly meeting with her, and she's the one who's driving this. So, yeah.
Good morning. So, for the
Do you
current,
need a microphone?
can everybody hear me? I can project a little bit.
Use your supervision for it.
Hi. Thanks, just in case. Okay, so good morning, everybody. So currently, right now, we have 2 different goals in hand. We have fixing the current problems And then the second is looking at the future. How can we ensure this does not happen again? So every day I'm working pretty much, I have a check-in with all of my staff daily, which we're looking into solving any issues that current staff are having with their benefits, as well going through and validating and going through and making sure that we are meeting with the counterparts, being Optum, as well as Charter Life and BRMS. So we are in connection with them daily, figuring out what's happening, getting updates on any current situations that are open so that we can help facilitate getting those corrected. So that's one of the things that we're doing right now to solve the current things at hand. Second, we are going through and we have weekly meetings, which we've had numerous counterparts within the unions be included in these meetings so that they can give us feedback from their representation to go through and correct these as well. Thirdly, we have actually, as Matt has actually kind of said, Damon Johnson from Charter Life is actually on campus 2 times a week. So he's on campus 2 times a week for about 4 to 5 hours. And what he's doing is he's actually going through and he is meeting one-on-one with staff that are having issues and going through how we can facilitate correcting these issues. And these issues span from someone not able to go through and make a doctor's appointment because there's a knowledge gap between the office to the person in actually BRMS eligibility department. Second is the prescriptions. As you guys heard earlier in previous meetings, we are seeing ongoing issues. They're not always different issues, it's the same issue that keeps on coming up. So we have encouraged as well as let all of the stakeholders know from all of these insurance companies, being BRMS, Charter Life, and the pharmaceuticals, that this is unacceptable. It is absolutely unacceptable and we need to hold them to the standard. We had multiple meetings with a lot of stakeholders from Birmingham, as well as all of those different counterparts. And we meet and we kind of undo what's happening and let them know the frustrations that with teachers, staff, everyone are having. So we're going through that currently on the side of the current issues at hand. So it's just a day-to-day process correcting. We are letting them know that this is unacceptable and that they need to come to a solution, and that gets us into the long term. So at this point, they have went 5 months almost. We're almost at May. It's been 5 months almost, and we're still seeing issues ongoing with this. So what I have decided to move forward with this is looking into other options for health insurance in the future. So the first step is going through and working with our legal teams to remove ourselves from the actual trust, now the sole provider. So that is the first thing. That comes with a lot of different layers of things that we have to do to remove ourselves from that because we're in a contractual agreement. So we're moving through that process currently. The next level is going through and making sure that we can find services or another provider that can give us the insurance benefits that are comparable as much as we can to what we currently have, and our goal is to get even better. That's our goal, is to get better than what we have currently. And so that is what we're doing for the future. That process takes a lot of internal things that we have to do. So we have to pull data, we give it to them, and we want to make sure that we give them only the correct needed data. We can't give them too much for privacy reasons. But they come back and it's a lengthy process that we're waiting and moving through right now with different brokers and then insurance carriers themselves. So we have to identify what other plans we can use in the future to move out of Charter Life.
Are we the only charter that deals with Charter Life's health benefit provider?
No.
Or are there others?
No, we're part of the JPA, which is a group of charters that are involved. So the idea is pull the right, like what JPA is, many of you are familiar with, is if you have more volume or more participants, you get a better deal.
But are they all having the same problems, or are we the only ones?
We have been told in numerous meetings that for some reason, and they cannot give us a guaranteed answer, it seems like Birmingham is the ones seeing the most issues, which does not make any sense to us. So we are asking them, please provide us evidence why we are seeing more. The answer that we received thus far is that geographically, it could be something along that line. Also, it could be something along the lines of our population of staff utilizing the benefits is high utilizations. So they're seeing more. That is what we're hearing right now from the stakeholders on that end.
Here's the person that's coming twice a week, he's just working one off. He's not trying to resolve the root cause. He's not going to continue.
Right, yeah, so
He
he's not.
doesn't satisfy my problem, he's not going to satisfy that. He's just one off, so that's.
Right, so yes, he's virtually in a triage situation with each individual employee as we get those. In terms of resolving the issue, that's where Amanda and I already have been talking, with the heads of charter life and.
What's Charter's last position? I mean, they have to serve these issues, you can't deny that these are happening.
Right, I think, to our dissatisfaction, charter life is coming and saying, yes, we understand, yes, we're doing this, yes, we're doing that, but it's not having the expectations of what we're thinking, what we're doing.
Because I would think contractually, they're violating the contract, so it needs to get out of it.
So that's the conversation that, Amanda's been having with legal, to look at our options. We will come back with some options to the board, with some recommendations, but, for us, we know that the expectation is to provide a higher standard of care for employees, and, that will happen. Just the timeline and what that means, I want to be very transparent, and that if, when a decision is made to, provide something different, that it will require some inconvenience for staff, because it requires us to, get people's information, things like that, and so that's what we're also trying to manage and navigate, and that decision is made, we believe it should be, and I think there are people in support of that, to make those. It will be a heavy lift for the HR team to make sure we get it. But they can't. It's just a matter of time and going through the process.
Do we pay them monthly?
We do.
Why don't we withheld some monthly payments, get their attention more quickly?
I would say that would be the normal business course of action, but what happens is that will interrupt the provide, like the anthem and the Kaiser, so there would be nothing that exists. So right now, they're the group for us, but if we don't make our payment directly to Anthem and Kaiser, then there's no benefits, so we can't do that.
But you get the chief executive of Charter Life down here to have a meeting with maybe the board and.
Make that happen, when do you want that?
But whenever, because it seems to me that, this has gone on too long.
Very well, so that is our next thing, so we will take care of that. Yes, sir.
Well, I agree with Mike on that, but you use the word triage. The person that was speaking before us seems to have data that shows a pattern of non-service. Now, you said the word triage. Don't they have any type of triage emergency room to go sit and deal with that one person while this other long-term stuff is being taken care of? Because she seems to have a serious issue. And we're getting it right, but we're not serving that person who's paying their fair share or something like that. There should be a mechanism or something to handle and outline their life, rather than that person to have to continue to suffer while things are being corrected.
The impression I got was it is being handled, and unfortunately, it's not to the benefit.
Well, it's not.
It's not reaching.
Yeah, and let me kind of break out what and Amanda will, we can also color is there's two big issues. One is, when the group decided to what we call, it's called self-insure, which means manage administratively the processing of claims. Okay? So the first part was the familiarity with the service providers that, even though the insurance is covered by Anthem, the processing, the naming of, okay, BMRS is providing the administration of the payments of that, it's confusing because it's not really directly tied to Anthem like it was before. So that's where the first issue lies. So when people say, hey, they're not saying I'm covered, it's not that they're covered, but it's a different portal, and so there's an education process. That's the first issue.
And so just to add to that, so normally when a staff member who has Anthem coverage prior to this switch, what would happen is a provider's office could go into a network within the Anthem system, which they're very used to doing because Anthem's such a big provider. You would be able to go through and search the employee via the Anthem system. They are not in Anthem anymore. So for example, myself and my family are on Anthem. When a provider's office goes through and looks currently, what they're going to see is that my insurance is no longer active because that policy is no longer covered and it's kind of null there. What has happened is they took the administrative piece into BRMS. BRMS now has a separate website. So providers' offices need to go to this website, which is not as knowledgeable. So this is where we're having a big learning and knowledge gap. Providers' offices are not used to utilizing this system, so they're going to the website, they're having issues calling, which we've worked on. And so they have to go through, and we heard that there's a long call time, you're on for an hour. They were in a transition phase. Charter Life has taken ownership that they were not prepared for the full move. They have taken ownership of that. And they have made resolutions for it. But ultimately, there's a knowledge gap between the provider office, the doctor, and getting the information to validate someone is eligible to go through and see that doctor with the insurance.
And so that's the first half of it. So provider knowledge and knowing where to go. So that starts the first thing. The second thing is the pharmacy part. As was articulated earlier, before it was CVS Scripts, who we had now. In their effort, I guess, to become efficient and cost effective, they went to Optimex. Obviously, a lot of these decisions were done because of, an ability to contain healthcare costs for the group. But just like I tell people, merger may look great on paper, but the actual execution of the merger and the transition, people don't really plan for that well, and that's kind of what I felt this was, that there was not enough due diligence done with the provider in order to make sure that there was a seamless transition on the front end and the experience for the employees, even though all the activity is happening for that. And so that's kind of where we are. But again, in no way, that is not, a valid enough reason for us to say, yeah, we're happy. And so we need to take action. Again, to your request, we will have all of the people here if you decide to have a special board meeting in order to address that. We will coordinate their attendance without doubt.
Isn't there a state agency that regulates the pharmaceutical industry that you could call and make a complaint?
Yeah, so we can look into that.
I mean, I know that when you get a EOB from Kaiser or from Anthem, there's always a number to call in case you have an issue. So maybe that's another avenue to explore.
Yes. For me, some of this is kind of bittersweet in the sense that I know there's still problems going on, but my commitment to the organization is to continue to support Ari and Amanda on this issue, even, into the next few months, at least in this direction, as well as, bringing on the person who will replace me, because this is of the highest importance to me. The teachers, it is a distraction, as was discussed earlier, and that's not what we do. What we built in the business office and HR team is to make sure that we can take those things off of people's plates and they can focus on.
Any other questions of this your report, or this is our?
This is Ari's report. Mine is coming afterwards after, I think, Isaac is next.
No, Isaac, thank you, Linda, thank you. Well, Isaac.
Morning, everybody. Welcome back to on-site board meetings. Thank you. So I'll put it back on there. You guys should have a sheet of paper with the title BCCHS Independent Secretary Review. Thank you for approving the board policy that was approved last semester. So we appreciate that. We have plans on starting our study program this coming fall. This is an overview of what we expect to happen on year one. We do have 3 teachers currently teaching on course-based independent study. We've learned a lot about the new law, AB 130, all the changes that have occurred due to distance learning and gap in instruction, loss of the students' experience last school year during distance learning. So there are several requirements that we have to follow that is in our board policy. We do, so in terms of budgeting, now working with Will for so many years, we always have to think about how things are going to get paid. This is going to pay for itself. And so this is an estimate of how things are going to be funded for year one and how things will be funded for year two. We plan on starting it small and then grow it year after year. So this is just information for you. There's nothing to be placed as an action item. This also is going to go to curriculum and instruction next month, also for further vetting and getting feedback from our faculty. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well.
Yep, well, we're gonna pull something out real quick. I'll try to make this as quick as possible. Actually, a lot of this, can you increase that a little bit, please?
Yeah.
Wendy went through.
It's upside down.
Number two.
That is up. Okay, let's try this. Yes,
So, Ms. Bader talked about the LCAP, and as you guys know, the LCAP and the budget kind of go hand in hand. The LCAP defines the actions, and it tells us, what we're measuring, and what I define in this book called Measure What Matters, the objective and key results. What we do is we layer on, okay, how much is this going to cost? So you guys have been used to seeing this chart in terms of what our actuals are, and then how we're receiving the federal stimulus money to support the return to instruction. During the second interim, we showed, how we operate, roughly spending about $46 million to operate the school for this year, and then we spent an additional $4.5 million related to CARES and return to instruction. That was the initial thought. Obviously, Ms. Bader showed us expending more of those funds. And what we put in the budget going forward is $9 million for next year for funding that we're going to use for continued return to instruction, professional support, just to make sure that we are honoring the requirements of the CARES funding. This is very preliminary. So at the top, I said preliminary. This is our first run because we are missing 2 pieces of information. We're missing the governor's revision to the budget. That will not happen. It's coming out this week. So we won't have a true revised preliminary budget until the end of this month or next month's meeting, okay? With that said, these numbers are going to change. And we're also still having budget conversations, and RA has to make some programming decisions on, final staffing, make sure we understand what enrollment projection is going to be like, which I'll get from Isaac, so on and so forth. So, but right now, my preliminary is, hey, we're going to spend 9.5, and, we're going to probably have $1.5 million that we think is not allocated yet until we figure out what that support looks like. So that's that. Can you go to the next chart? What I do want to talk about today is some of the assumptions of what we're doing. Not that one, close out and go to the one that says, is some of the major big items. And we'll get into it more. I think I lost Lionel. So this one. The one that says capital project.
Capital?
Yeah.
Oh, PowerPoint?
Some of the big items that will come to you. Can you go to the next page? So, the next page. It's not, that's not. Nope. You just open it, go back. There's a page, there's a page down, yeah. Okay, obviously, you can, this is more just the why we do this. We do this because we have an old institution. We're always trying to keep it going and we have to keep it open. You know, I think we used to call it Williams Act and so on and so forth. Can you go to the next slide? So here are the big projects, and Lionel, sorry, Mr. Villarreal had talked about it before, is the campus lighting project. This is about safety. We've talked about this. It's been in the works. He articulated, you know, we're waiting for DSA. We have a pool for DSA, but the actual implementation is going to take longer. We believe it's about $3.5 million. It probably won't be fully implemented until the end of next year. The additional classrooms, I think that's no new story to everybody. Even though we have them, we're running into some challenges with the implementation. We didn't get enough bidders to fulfill the minimum three bid requirement. And do you want to talk about the electricity, the transformer?
Yeah, the transformer, I've been told, you know, multiple times by different people that the transformer is about, I was told 7 to 10 months away. The bid we received, you know, on there, it said a delay of 50 weeks, you know, which is about a year. So even if we start the work, if that was the case, we're still looking, you know, for the transformer to come in, say if it's 10 months away to finish the whole entire project before we could get clearance from LAUSD inspectors to open up. So it might be a little longer delay than, you know, than we anticipated to try and get these bungalows up and running on the 400 side. So that's, you know, that's the big issue on trying to get those classrooms up and running besides not enough bidders.
Right, and so, I mean, we're erring on the side of not to be hasty and make sure we're clear because one, it's a lot of money, and two, we, you know, it's us being prudent and fiscally smart. The campus-wide air conditioning, another thing that we're trying to do. We talked about this in the committee, I think Matt brought it up. You know, we have all this older facility with all these air conditioning, but their rating is -5.
For the roof, it was -5. This year, they just came out and did a reassessment of some of the roofs. The roofs are in worse shape are the J building, the gym, the girls' gym area. So it looks like it's on the east end of the campus. Besides regular classrooms and, you know, some roofs, but the ones on this side came back at a -5 rating. It's not good. And 2 years ago, they were at a 0. You know, and when it rains, even a little sprinkle now, we have to pull out tarps to try and protect the gym floor, buckets, and put them out in like 5-6 different areas. So it was on a long-term, you know, capital project goal, but you know, the district came in and gave us some information, and that's where Will's going.
Right, and so what we hope to happen is that all the things identified for that, it's probably in the, you know, maybe $8, $9, $10 million, right?
Probably even more, considering the district's, you know, it's a pretty old, you see in the old gym, the roofs around campus, and AC units around campus because, you know, they've known that they're at the end of the life cycle. And it was also, I think she included a transformer from DWP that the school, the LAUSD/the school would be responsible to replace.
Right. So we know that that's a heavy lift, that our CPM came to us and said, look, this could qualify under bond money. We have to take it to the LAUSD board, and so that's what we're trying to do. So, but you should be aware of it because it impacts us, and people will be probably inconvenienced depending on when we do it. Last thing is, obviously, student, we had a project from 2018 to just, for health and safety reasons, to do some renovations to Joe's place out in the football field, because we have students working in there. It's an insurance requirement, and so it's a little bit of work, not that much, $35K. And then obviously, there was a conversation from the facilities report out that we're doing some renovations to the faculty dining room. The impetus behind that is this, pretty much. There's only a 30-minute lunch. Teachers' times are limited, and even though we have improved some of the food and the offerings, we have these long lines. And so what we're trying to do is we implemented credit cards this year. And we have a pre-order menu, but we want to make that even better so people can pre-order and pay online, and then they just come and pick up their lunch. No inconvenience for anybody. Folks have their time because we know it's important. And then also to just provide additional refrigerators and meal opportunities like vending machines, so we can make it so teachers and staff have time to sit down and just enjoy your lunch. So that's the goal. It'll be about a 260 investment, but we know that we've already seen an increase in participation in the faculty dining room. Before we would probably see like 20 people. Now we're probably up to like 60 people, 70 people. So people know it's better and it's easier to go on campus. The last one is student focus. Over the last year, we've worked on improving students taking lunch in preparation for the universal meal program, where every kid eats for free. Will be a Provision 2 school, which will keep us for 5 years. We have to improve the access to lunch because we still need faster time. We technically have 2,800 kids or 2,600 kids who qualify for free lunch, but we only have 1,600 who eat lunch. We're always striving to get that better, and it's free, and we're trying to take away all the barriers. That's why we did this standard. So we know that's probably going to be about 220. So these are some of the assumptions, between 5 and 6 on the capital side. Next month, you will see a presentation from Evelyn Garcia to go into the details of the strategic plan related to nutrition. So look forward to that next month. Can you go to the next chart? Yes, sir.
On the bottom one.
Go back. Yes.
You can drive around LAUSD, on the east side, south side, San Fernando Valley. You see all these projects going on in secondary schools, probably elementary also. Is there an issue with the bond money LAUSD has flowing some of that money or authorizing it to Birmingham? Is this a legal issue, I guess, is what I'm trying to say? Is it something our attorney should get involved with?
Great question. And you can comment on this. There is money specifically earmarked for charters. We know that. Now, how that is being facilitated could probably require some assistance from our attorneys. We know we've had to do that, like you said before. But I don't think we're at that point yet. What do you think?
I think that the LAUSD probably at some point or another with other charter schools have brought up the question. And I think that's why they started this bond money specifically for charter schools. I think she had said there's going to be somewhere between like 450 to 550 million specifically for charter schools themselves. And I think that's where that came from, because before we weren't seeing any money from bond money that throughout the last 10 years you've been chartered.
They're criminals.
Yeah.
Totally unified. They're absolute criminals.
Yeah, can I add, I wrote two QSAP grants that were from QSAP bond money, and we won those grants, and we turned charter, and they took them away, right, Rick? You know about that.
Yes, they did.
They just took them away.
And all
QSAP, QCAD.
And Bob's right. We really need to look at all the money the district's spending from that last bond thing. And I had heard, that bond money's out. They didn't give us a dime.
Yeah. So we already have, and Lionel and I, we talked to Young Community Corps when it comes to these facilities issues. So we'll follow up next week. I'll make sure it's on his docket. So yeah. The next chart. And so that's $5 to $6 million. And these are just the assumptions that I'm using to build into the budget. So you guys have some clarity, and I know This is, through oversight, what happens is they pull checks and they look at like how much we spend. And our fiscal policies say that any expense over $50,000 should come across you guys' desk for approval. We do that, but I just want to give you guys some context of what we've done historically and what we know is going into this budget. One is a Tree of Knowledge, which is our tutoring service. That's a school-wide program. Accelerated is credit recovery. Amazon is a major vendor because the teachers use that to buy instructional material, so it just adds up, but so you guys know what you will see. Obviously, the nutrition program from Chartwell's. Cross Country does our substitutes and our sped service support. They're one of our providers for substitute teachers, a lot of money. CSUN, the Center for Teaching and Learning, provides, they partner with the math department and the SPED department to do curriculum planning and support to deliver instruction. DataLink is our IT service provider. Educare is our after-school engagement, which the board voted on and is funded by special one-time money from the CARES Act. Fulgent, which you'll see, and this number is actually a very optimistic number. It can actually be larger as in addition to Teodora. That's the testing we're doing. So the board understands it costs a lot for us to test. It probably costs about $110 each time we administer a test to a student. So that's per student. And so we got $500,000 from LACO. We've already burned through that in the first semester. And that was just covering the nurses. Now, before the government was paying for the actual lab evaluation of the test. Now that's going away, which means that's another $55. So our testing can actually end up costing us $200,000 a week just on that alone. So we're evaluating what that means because we're testing every student employee every week for that's 3,500 people. So it becomes a large amount of money. We are covered because that's where a lot of that CARES Act money goes to. And that's what the intent of it was for, but I want the board to understand the testing is a very large undertaking. Kelly Services, again, substitute services, legal services, that's all our, any type of legal, as well as negotiations. One of our other big thing, behind just paying for the meal program, which is funded by nutrition money, is that we spend a lot of money back to the district. Even though we don't really pay rent, we are responsible for the utilities, and our utilities, including water and any other maintenance related stuff, is about $1.5 million a year. But you guys have seen that number of years, but I just want to make sure you know what's going on. And then some of this other one-time money we spent to increase staffing support because we are having a hard time as a result of the great resignation of finding custodial staff, so we outsource all of that. In order to continue to do the cleaning necessary to meet our requirements to make sure this is COVID safe. Can you go to the next one? The last one is just a summary of some of our independent contractors. This is just the numbers that I know that are going to come in. A bunch of it is just various supporting the visual and performing arts, like the school musical, the choreographer. We have some people come in and support the A through G with Isaac's group in counseling. Obviously, we have support for HR and oversight. We have support for grant administration, and then I have audit and controllership report support and an internal audit to help my team. A part of my situation, which helps us maintain fiscal independence and integrity, because even though I'm here or the person in the chair is here, we still need another independent set of eyes to validate that, yeah, you guys are doing things on the up and up. So it's that type of support. And so that's a little bit of that. That's it. So we have all these components. We're rerunning all these components. We have our first preliminary next month in partnership with the LCAP. We will present the full numbers. I'm not concerned. We will have enough to make sure things are good next year for programming. Obviously, we're just always trying to be prudent and make sure the board is aware of what's going on. So I know there's no action items. I am here today. I'm not on campus, but I will be still active in supporting through the budget process. I'll be at the next 2 board meetings. And thank you for being my partner, allowing me to serve you in this role. And Birmingham is heading in the right direction because of this board allowing us to do what we do. And we have an amazing team of people working here, from top to bottom, left to right, because, it's a circle of family that students are being impressed. And I have to also thank the teachers, and, Tracy in particular as an administrator. I was able to do more than my job in supporting African-American students and mentoring them. And I have like 3 who are going to college this year, and I'm very happy. And, I don't think CBOs understand that part, but being chartered, the part I like about charter, it allowed me to actually touch the clients and touch the student and be a part of the community. And I thank you all for allowing me to have that.
Don't go too far, Rick. Because, we're not going to let you go without saying something. So administering such a large and complex institution as Birmingham is a Herculean task. There are so many moving parts that call out for attention on a here and now basis. Classroom supplies, technology, healthcare, to name a few. Each is a high priority. Many of these problems and needs would be easy for you to delegate responsibility to others. However, it has been the intensive personal care that you have given to each task in these last 10 years. For this, we, the board, give our heartfelt appreciation and thanks and send you our best wishes for success in your new position. Thank you for your service. But it's not signed by Marcia because she's not here. I could forge it. Yeah. All right, we're gonna call a special board meeting for Wednesday, May 4th at 4:30 to take care of all the items that require action. We're gonna go into closed session for one item very quickly. So there won't be any reporting out from closed session. So I'm gonna adjourn this right. What? Yes, I am.
Should we?
Oh. Well, we'll call to make sure we have a quorum, okay? But if not, be on call for a special board meeting for Wednesday, May 4th.
I'm not available, that's
Oh, you're- okay.
that's part of the reason why.
I'm sorry.
Is this in person? Let's go for Zoom.
We can't, we have the expulsion that we have to take care of. All right, let me poll the board members before I call it. Well, we do 4:30, that's when, teachers are here then. Oh, all right, so let me look at the calendar all right. So we're gonna go to closed session for one item. I don't think we're any reporting out, so thank you all for your indulgence and welcome back. So board members, who are,